This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to Making Towns with Friends, Episode 2, here on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. My name is Steve Williams, and joining me for this episode is Kelly. Kelly, how are you now?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. Now, Kelly, you and I have known each other for a long time now, as evidenced by the fact we have a whole ass other podcast here called Songs with Friends on the Place to Be Nation pop feed. If you have not checked that out, I strongly encourage you to do so, listeners. The reason I had you on here is because, what did you do yesterday, Kelly?
I went to a wrestling show for the first time.
RASSLIN, that's wrestling.
Wrestling show.
Kelly went to her very first professional wrestling show at the tender age of 30-something. So I figured, why not have you on to talk about your experiences, kind of your thoughts going into it, thoughts coming out of it. It's interesting to me hearing first-timers. Most people fall into this kind of thing very young. I started watching when I was 8 and just never stopped. I know my buddy Jordan started when he was 13. I do have one friend who started when he was college age. Just happened to catch an episode of Raw one night and then fell in love with wrestling.
Wow.
And now
that's crazy.
Now he's in his 40s and still going strong. So, yesterday, I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't there. We went to see Bizarro Lucha in the wonderful town of Indianapolis, Indiana. Home of the Colts. Go Colts.
No. Go Steelers. No,
all right. So before the show, what were you thinking this would be like?
Well, because it wasn't like a WWE type thing. I thought that it would be kind of, I'm going to sound mean. I thought it would be kind of like, thought it might be lame maybe, or that it wouldn't be very like organized or, I don't know. I was kind of expecting there not to be as many people in there as there was, and it was like a production. It was cool.
Like you're expecting it, I guess, to be more like minor league.
Yeah,
like lesser than.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, my dad would take us to like minor league hockey games, and it was fun, but it wasn't the same as like if you went to an NHL hockey game. You know what I mean? And so, of course, I wasn't expecting it to be like. Actually, I thought they did really cool on like their entrances and stuff. I didn't really expect that. Like they had smoke and music playing, and I wasn't totally expecting that type of entrance coming into, like, of course it wasn't at the way when you see WWE on TV, but it was cool. Like, so that impressed me.
All right. Did anything interesting happen on the journey up on the road in Indiana?
Did anything interesting?
Did we see anything different or... All right, what I'm getting at is, folks, we stumbled upon a family video store.
Oh, yes. There were a lot of interesting things that happened before we even got to the show, so I wasn't sure what you were referring to.
Yeah, the interstate was shut down for some reason heading north. What should have been a straight shot, instead we got diverted off the interstate and had to go through some rural and suburban areas.
Yes.
One of the things we encountered in Indianapolis was a family video rental store.
Yes.
Where for the low price of God knows how many dollars, you could bring home a new release for 4 days and 3 nights or whatever the fuck.
If we weren't cutting it close on time, I actually wanted to go in because I felt like they might have had VHS in there for some reason. It's very interesting.
I kind of wanted to rent E.T. and then bring it back late and pay $9 for a late fee.
There's a lot of interesting bathroom things in Indiana that I have never seen before. It's just weird, maybe because I live in Texas, but like in that one bathroom, it had like the soap dispenser, the sink, like for your hands to wash, and the hand dryer, like all in one little thing. It was just crazy. So anyway,
Indiana has a lot of strikes against it, but state-of-the-art bathroom facilities are not one of those strikes.
Every bathroom I went in was amazing, which I cannot usually say on a road trip.
So, we get to the venue, I park at the venue, and then decide to Uber to go get some food. I'd already kind of had this mapped out. I knew what I wanted. I wanted some Giordano's pizza. So we get an Uber to the Giordano's, and while we're waiting for this Uber, you hear a car alarm start going off behind
Oh
us.
my gosh.
And I turn around to see a trunk pop open and a gentleman hopping out of the trunk.
He wasn't hopping out quite yet when I saw him, so I was a little alarmed. He was still in the trunk, and people were like staring at him. So I thought he was in danger.
Now Kelly, being completely new to the scene, did not recognize these people. I recognize the gentleman opening the trunk as indie wrestler or indie manager and commentator Jason Saints, and the fella in the trunk was Adam Slade. So I'm like, oh, that's just a good healthy rib. Don't mind them, they're okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna call the cops.
Like, should we call the cops? I'm like, no, they're okay.
What's a man in a trunk?
Just give them a minute, they'll be cool.
Yeah.
So the Uber driver comes. He's nothing special. He's kind of a quiet guy. You know, we get to the pizza place without issue. It was empty. Kelly, you had your first Chicago-style deep dish pizza. How was it?
Yes, it was so good. It looked a little weird to me when it came out because I was like, sauce on top, that seems odd, but it was very good. Very filling. I mean, it's a lot of food, but it was good.
Yes, I recommend the Chicago-style pizza for those of you who've never had it. If you get the opportunity to partake, please do so.
Yes.
You'll thank me later.
But it took a long time. They tell you it's like 45 minutes or an hour just to make the pizza.
Yeah, because of the density of the pizza, it takes longer to prepare, but it is well worth it.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very good.
So then we held another Uber.
And they had cool shirts. I'm sorry, I can't get over those shirts. All the shirts that the employees had, and they were sold out of them, were like Slice Slice Baby. And now I can't remember the rest of them, but they had like funny, most of them were like on lyrics type thing or songs, and they had these t-shirts.
So next up we had the non-wrestling highlight of this day. We get another Uber, and this lady pulls up in a minivan, doors slide open, no issues. We get in the car, and her accent is like nothing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I had to ask her. I was like, "Are you from here?" She was like, "Born and raised," she said, in Indiana.
She was very much a chatty Cathy, but we had some small talk about Indianapolis is one of those towns where the little motorized scooters have taken over, the scooters for rent.
By the minute.
By the minute. And she talked about DUIs and people getting hurt on those things and the ER upticks. But then we see like a stretch navigator. Like a full-on limousine SUV situation. And Kelly, what did this woman ask us?
If we ever thought that those could just like split in half, like when they're driving.
She said, as long as those things are, do you think if they get a lot of people in there, do you think they'll split right down the middle? Like, have you ever thought about that? And I'm like, fuck no, man. Well, why have you thought about this?
But she said it so serious, like it was a legit fear. Like I wouldn't want to ride in one of those because I feel like a limo could split in half if there was enough people in the center of it while it was driving. And it just struck me. It just struck me.
Kelly could not keep it together while this woman is trying to make friendly conversation.
She was the sweetest lady. She was so sweet though.
By this
she had
point,
candy in her Uber.
By this point, I've given up. I'm staring outside. I'm taking pictures of shit. I'm just entertaining myself and trying not to engage this lady because I could tell she has a good heart and I'm kind of an asshole.
And I'm an engager. I will talk to people about random shit. So
I'm like, you know what, Kelly, this one's all yours. And she even gave us, once we got to the venue, the Indiana City Beer Company, I think, or Indiana City Brewery, she gave us like some backstory on the history. It used to be like a paper mill or something.
Oh yeah, she knew the history of
and
that thing.
She worked there before.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's cool. She's opened the doors. Now we'll get out. That'd be great.
But she was, you know what? That was that's only the third Uber ride I've ever had in my life. So she was probably the most entertaining.
Yeah, I wish the Free Movement would have picked us up. That would have been awesome.
Does he live in Indiana?
No,
okay.
no. Yeah, I cannot say on the air where he lives because the Brits will publish his social security number on the internet again.
We don't want to do that.
No. So we get into this venue. And,
which was very nice.
Yes, it is a brewery. I've heard my buddy Brandon Wageman say that more wrestling should take place in breweries, and I fucking agree.
Yes, it was really nice. Had a full bar of like.
Now, if you weren't there for the wrestling, they had a section of the place sectioned off. Like, you open these old style wooden doors to get to the actual wrestling venue part of this. And so, there were people just milling about trying to eat a damn pretzel. And you got all these fucking neck beards just wandering around from the wrestling show.
Yeah, there was some of that.
But yeah, we're waiting for the doors to open, just in the main restaurant area, and I see some familiar faces. Some people that I know in real life that Kelly has encountered through Twitter. So she got to meet a few people: Jordan Rose, my buddy Lane Smith, various people connected to those people.
Yeah.
We get in, and there's only like 8 chairs tops. So those are reserved more for people who literally cannot stand.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's standing room only. The ring is maybe 15 inches off the ground.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And there you can actually see the ends of the board sticking out of the ring apron.
Yeah, that ring, I'm going to just say this, I was a little scared.
That was going to be my next question. What was your first impression walking into and seeing this environment?
Well, I didn't want to get hit, so I was scared where to stand. And it felt so close. Sometimes when I've seen people post videos on Twitter, it seems like there'll be like a gate outside the ring where wrestlers could, be thrown. But this was so small you couldn't do that. So I was a little bit concerned about where we were going to stand. So I was trusting Steve to pick a good spot. And that ring, you could see the wood on this side, and that seemed quite alarming to me. So I was a little bit but I didn't know, and it was very loud. And I don't know if that was normal either, but it was I felt like it was very loud. Ring.
I initially picked a spot that had plenty of room to get away if we needed to, but it turns out that area was the most floor area to work with, so most of the dives took place there.
Yes.
Thankfully, Jay Rose grabbed me before the show and said, "No, you're standing over here with us," and took me to a different area, which was still not immune to fuckery.
No.
But
very
was
few, though.
Much safer.
Much safer.
We had maybe 8 feet between the ring and we were against some garage doors.
Yeah.
So maybe 8 feet to work with there. And yeah, wrestlers still tried it at least twice.
Yeah. Well, and you did warn me before we went, hey, we're probably going to have to stand the whole time, be warned. And that wasn't a big deal to me, because when you go to a concert, you're going to stand. I didn't really, the not having a chair thing wasn't even a big deal to me. I didn't think that was, because what was it, 3 hours?
Yes.
I mean,
as is tradition at wrestling shows in the state of Indiana, most of them will make an announcement. If you think the action's coming your way, it probably is. Yeah. Grab your shit and get out of the way.
Which
sometimes in those words.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made sure to keep my head on a swivel and let you know, hey, if you think they're coming over here, they probably are. So just be careful. So I was kind of milling about for a few minutes before the show started, but then. They're out to start the show, and what music hits? Then fucking Hall & Oates.
Yes.
James C. Businessman comes out, leading his charge, his crew, his rapscallions are known as The Office, and it is Luchaversal champion Nicholas Iggy, who is doing the goofiest damn dance I've ever seen from this guy, along with Sage Phillips. They are out to take over the show. They read a list of rules. What was your first impression hearing the Hall & Oates and seeing these goofy bastards dancing about?
Well, what had happened was before they came out, this guy got up on stage and he was talking about how it was called, the name of the show was the 4-letter word. And
yes.
He was like, fuck, he's all like, this is R-rated, don't expect any, I don't want to say tact, but this is not appropriate for children, basically, which there were little kids there.
There was one child who may have been 7 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit unnerving at a couple times that he was there. So he had kind of set the tone as this is going to be, wild and fun. And I'd never been to one of these, and these group of fans in front of us, they were chanting things and cussing, and I think they kind of made it more fun. But so when Nick came out, I know him from Twitter, but I was impressed. It was they were their own little company or something. I don't know. It was kind of, but he was dancing goofy, but they had a thing going. It was they were, I don't know. I felt like I was actually watching felt like a WWE thing when they came out like that.
James C. Businessman has a very striking resemblance to Kerry Awful of the Carnies. I won't say they're the same guy. I won't say they're not the same guy. But they came out there, did their whole HR spiel about how there will be no cursing, there will be no tomfoolery, and they really milked this thing for all it was worth.
Yeah.
And then they introduced James C. Businessman's 13-year-old son, Bobby Business Boy, who is like a 350-pound grown man with a beard. Just good shit.
It was great. It was great.
And that led us into our opener, which was the business boy in Sage Phillips against the bomb shelter of Joseph Schwartz and Randy West. That's R-A-N-D-I West. That is a lady wrestler, not the male porn star from back in the day, J.R. Neo D'Amato.
That's amazing. That's
so,
amazing.
What were your impressions of this match?
I'm gonna feel weird saying this. There was a woman, so I have to admit, like, I'm all about like girl power, whatever, but that did kind of like, I guess, shocked me a little bit because you don't see that as much. I mean, like China, you would see that, right. But I mean, for the most part, but I don't know what I would say. I mean, that wasn't my favorite one, but right. I thought they did a good job. I mean, I thought they were good, like, that couple, I don't know if they were a couple. I felt like they were a couple, but maybe they weren't. But I feel like they did a good job of, like, selling their, you know, whatever you call it.
Yeah, the bomb shelter. They were good at getting across their characters.
Yes, I think they did a good job.
Yeah, Sage Phillips is very good. I've been following him for years. This is my first time seeing him work heel. And I was impressed because, like, he's a tiny man.
Yes.
And to be able to heel it up and get booed and not get sympathy as someone that small, it really takes talent.
Yeah.
And he's able to do so.
Yeah, it's fascinating people that, like being booed almost. Like, I feel like I would be like, hell no, people are booing me, but it's like some people feed off that. Like, I think, though, to be fair, I was so overwhelmed. Like, I felt like my heart was really racing. I was a little bit nervous, which probably sounds stupid. So I don't know that, like, at the first match or two that I was really, really paying as much attention, because I was just like, so much I felt like going on that I was trying to pay attention to so many different things. So
that's fair, and I believe did the Office win that match? I don't recall, honestly. But the second match was an 8-person elimination match.
That was interesting.
And there were some interesting gimmicks here. Unfortunately, Bizarro Lucha didn't list the full card ahead of time. So right now, I'm actually like fervently scrolling their social media trying to find a match listing because they were updating as the show went on last night. But there was a what was your favorite character in that match?
I liked the surfer like guy.
Yeah, there was
like I don't remember what his name was, but he was, you know, he kind of came out like this like California surfer, kind of long hair, these wild pants, and kind of like when he did his moves, you know, he was like he was on a surfboard or whatever. I something about him drew me. I don't know exactly what it was, but he seemed like he was. But there was a lot of wild characters. I mean,
he came in to the with the Hawaii Five-0 entrance music.
Yeah.
Cody Rice was in this match, and probably the spot of the night for sheer gaga was Cody Rice, who's a very large gentleman.
Cody Rice 13.
Cody Rice 13 on Twitter if you want to get a look at this guy. And he squared off with the Naked Ninja, which is exactly what you think it is.
That was...
It was a fellow with a lucha mask who was wearing unfortunately snug skin tone panties.
Women's for sure.
Yes.
Just the style.
And he was wearing a bathrobe.
Yes.
But then he took the bathrobe off. And it got weird.
Yes.
Cody Rice squares off with him, but instead of fighting, all of a sudden, the song from Dirty Dancing comes on over the airwaves. I've had the time of my life.
Ooh.
And they engage in the slowest of slow dances. And they're happy and loving, and everybody's having a good time. And then the Naked Ninja backs up, and he prepares to run into Cody Rice's loving arms for the big finale. And instead, he eats a sky-high spine buster and gets eliminated from the match. Fantastic work.
That was, yes. That was something. Something. I actually videotaped that and had a pretty good backside shot of the Naked Ninja, but it was... you can look on Twitter. I think that other people maybe got better shots of that, but that definitely, I don't know, it made me laugh. Like, I had fun when they were doing that. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally crazy. but it was very fun.
Yeah, that match had a lot of energy, a lot
Yes.
of stuff going on. The Atomicos match is what they called it. It was just really out of hand. But it may have been my favorite match of the night, just for sheer crowd engagement.
Were they the ones that did that thing where there was like 6 of them connected and then they... Never mind. I don't know what that's called. They flipped together or whatever. Was it in that one?
No.
No, it was another one. Okay.
Yeah. No, that was later. That was the IFHY match.
Okay.
In a suplex spot. The next match, well, for name value, it was interesting to see these people in. There's a contingent from Hood Slam, whose names I did not catch, and they wrestled Green Ant and Thief Ant in from Shikara, which was kind of a fun treat for the Midwest fans. Personally, I thought they should have flip-flopped the order of these, because they went in. It was technically good, but it was a lot of more traditional Shikara-style wrestling, and then, compared to the balls-out anarchy of the Atomicos match.
Like, it was kind of boring as far as... That sounds mean. The character and all the shenanigans. It was maybe more just like wrestling to me, but I seem like I like the crazy shenanigans that goes along with some of the other matches.
Now, I think it was during this match where they have an ongoing storyline where Slade Porter has been banned from Bizarro Lucha. And I should note that before the show even started, we are parked, and I look up and I can see Slade like in the locker room through a window, just like casually talking to somebody. I'm like, fucking kayfabe, brother. You're not supposed to be here. You may not want to stand near that
I
open.
made like direct eye contact with him. It was very uncomfortable because I don't even know him. So I was like,
So when we get in, he's milling about wearing a blazer, no shirt, and a lucha mask. And he finds a blank spot on the wall next to me. And it just stands there with his hand in his pockets and just like nudges up against me like, hey brother, how's it going? Good to see you, man. I'm doing good. I'm trying to pretend like I don't know who he is for the sake of the show. But he just stood there for a few minutes, watched the matches, and moved on. It was very fucking strange.
yes.
But yeah, the Shikara match was technically good. It wasn't my particular cup of tea. I think it would have played better second as opposed to third. But then, afterwards, there were some damn shenanigans. There is a big fat fucking guy with a white mask on and a lab coat, whose name appears to be Dr. Nephilim Magnanimous.
I'm going to tell you, that scared me. His whole look, I actually kind of felt creeped out.
It was very serial killer-esque.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just, I don't know if it's like that lab coat and then that's what that mask is, right? It was all white with, it just creeped me out.
All right, now we actually have a match listing here. They waited till midway through the show to do. All right, the Hawaiian gentleman was Freddie Flamingo. He was the last man standing in the 8-man Atomicos. Match 3, Shikaro Pro, the Ants, picked up the win over Hood Slam. And then Magnanimous Creations attacked. They laid them all out. It was a scene. There were weapons, controversy, pure fucking madness, I tell you. But then from there, they went to intermission.
Oh.
And
yes.
it was a very interesting way to pitch to intermission. James C. Businessman comes back out. And he says that he's going on a state-mandated 30-minute lunch break. That he is going to the bar and not to speak to him. Don't bother him. He's going to have one beer, but he's not going to get drunk because he wants to perform well on the job. What did you think of this whole scene?
I thought it was cool. Like, because it tied into... Actually, kind of felt like James C. Businessman. He was, like, running the show. Even though he wasn't out there, like, when he came out, like, I felt like he was, like... I don't know what it... I felt like he was, like, the host of the show. I know he wasn't, but he just... I don't know. He was selling his whole thing, and I thought it was funny.
That is a great way to put it. He was kind of like the unofficial host, even though he was the heel announcer or heel GM kind of guy.
And people are like... I mean, I just think... of course, I'm not used to this environment, but he's, like, walking around the stage, and people are literally, like... fuck you, like middle finger in his face, and he's just like not even phased, like, you know, he's got like a suit jacket on, and I mean, so he didn't. I mean, he didn't ever seem to like phased by any of that, and I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, like he seemed like he was like kind of in charge.
He did his spiel, and then he disappears to the bar, and he leaves Bobby Business Boy out there to try to corral this angry, drunk crowd. And honestly, it's kind of dying a death because Bobby is not as experienced. He was doing okay for what his job was, but a lot of it is cheap heat type stuff, just giving fans a reason to boo him. And so they finally sent the real host out, whose name I unfortunately didn't catch, but he came out to get rid of Business Boy and make an announcement that...
Which he did really good, too. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but he did good.
They're taking a 5 to 10 minute intermission, buy some beers, tip your wait staff, we'll be right back. And we will be right back after hearing about some more of the shows on the Place to Be Nation feeds. See you in a minute.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content, offering tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all of these current shows, plus archives of our previous podcasts over the past 8 years as well, by subscribing to our feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others available at PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using www.placetobenation.com/Amazon while doing your online shopping. And be sure to join us at our forum at bigelow34.proboards.com for all sorts of wrestling, sports, and pop culture discussion each and every day, where you can make your voice heard. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceStation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
And welcome back to Making Towns and Friends. Let's talk about some of the other successful shows here on the Place to Be Nation feeds. On the Pop feed, we had a busy week with a little something for everyone. The Marvel Age crew is back to wrap up the year that was 1970. Jenny and Miranda have returned with a new Geek and Sassy, breaking down Doom Patrol Volume 1. I'd kind of like to hear them break down Paw Patrol. I think that would kick ass. On this installment of Sunday Groove, David, our good friend David Sunday, is joined by Greg Phillips to discuss some hidden gems. Andy Atherton brings in a host of luminaries for the newest great debate, looking at sports and pop culture. Kelly and Steve, hey, I know them. We popped back in with the new Songs for Friends, talking Lil Wayne and Dina Carter. Strawberry Wayne. Thanks, Todd. Todd Weber brings us a pod blast to look at the premiere episode of Season 8 of Game of Thrones. Man, you fucking nerds are mad about Game of Thrones on the internet. My God, calm down, guys. The hard-traveling fanboys talk the power of Shazam in this month's Longbook Hunters. And he was joined by Tim Cable to talk Ghostbusters in the 4th episode of Laugh-In Theater. Coming up at the end of May, the hard-traveling fanboys will be wrapping up their Hard Travelers for Hire series with a special giant-sized edition of the podcast. Greg and Nick will be joined by past guests for a retrospective look back at the highs and lows of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they want your opinions. After you've seen Endgame, send in your full ranking of the Marvel Universe movies from 1 to 22. 22 movies, my God.
Wow.
To Nick D at PlacetoBeNation.com. Again, that is Nick D at PlacetoBeNation.com. While you're at it, send us some naked pictures. The full complete rankings for Place to Be Nation will be revealed on the show. So get your ballots in to make your voice heard. Ballots are due May 16th. That is May 16th. Not the 17th. You'll be shit out of luck. And over at the wrestling feed, my favorite wrestling podcast. Jeff Machado is back in the classroom and headed toward WrestleMania 6 in the much-needed 17th episode of Jeff Lawrence Wrestling. JT and Chad are back in the war zone and have moved into 1996. looking at Raw and Nitro from January 1st. That's right, we're talking about the motherfucking Raw Bowl. In the premiere episode of Row 1, Seat 1, Ben Zani welcomed in the one and only Papa Mike Hales to talk about his lifetime of experiences in attending live wrestling shows. Guys, I give this show the highest of recommendations. Papa Hales was an absolute treat to listen to. Great stories of wrestling in the 60s and 70s. Just an absolute gem of a man. Greg and Robert Silva popped in with a PTB and Network special looking at some of their choices in the GWWE Tag Team Project. And then you don't know Billy Jack number 5. Drew introduces Jordan to the legendary Steamboat Savage WrestleMania 3 clash. Over at PlacetoBeNation.com, 8 members of the staff took part in our all-time pay-per-view draft. The posted written piece includes full draft results, rosters, and strategy defenses from the drafters. Be sure to check it out and vote for your favorite draft. And check out our social media pages and message board over at www.bigelow34.proboards.com for information on joining our GWWE pay-per-view and TV match ever project. Get in on the conversation today and start researching your list. Now, we're back from intermission. The Bizarro Lucha show is back from intermission. And the next match up is Shotzi Blackheart.
Why did they have the girl dance?
Oh, that is right.
Don't forget about this.
I completely forgot. Right before we pitched to intermission, there was a damn burlesque show.
Yes.
There was a lady comes out in a robe and a lucha mask and a bikini, and she loses all of those items and just has tassels on her nipples.
She was doing like a...
She is working it.
She had like, a bikini on with the skirt, and then the skirt comes off, and then the
that was actually
top comes off.
Yeah, that was the end of intermission because he came back to see...
Yes, they came back to see that.
They came back to ask where Businessman was, if anyone has seen him. We got to confirm that he was on the shitter. So
yes,
we kicked off the burlesque show.
Which I did notice the child was not in the room when this was going on. I think they must have told the parents, like, hey, we're having a little show here, so you need to take, escort your child from the... Because I did look over and was like, oh my, hope that 7-year-old. And she had, just tassels on, and she was doing some interesting dancing, twirling type.
We're lucky no one lost an eye.
It was actually pretty amazing, to be honest with you. I was quite impressed by her.
This woman was well endowed in the breast region, and they were obviously natural by the way they moved.
Yes.
And the tassels had some range.
Yes.
Thankfully, no one got hurt, except for the feelings of the horn dogs in attendance when James C. Businessman returned.
Yes. And she didn't... she still was in there the rest of the time. She put some of those clothes back on, but then that child was like 2 seats down from her, so that part was a little...
Then she was kind of hanging out.
Just kind of hanging out.
So then we come back to Shotzi Blackheart defending her War of the Genders championship against Matt Nix. What was your impression of Shotzi?
She was amazing. I actually saw her like a ton of times before it started. She kept walking through the...
Yes.
I feel like she walked in front of us like 4 times to probably go to the bathroom or whatever. But she had this green hair or whatever. But she was, to me, like the best, the most... I don't want to say the most... Yeah, like the most talented, at least, female. I mean, she was like... She could be on TV, in my mind. Like, she was so good at what she did when she got up there. Like,
I think she's a very polished performer.
That's probably a better way to put it.
Yeah, I have never seen Shotzi Blackheart. I was aware of her through social media, but I never actually seen her perform. This was my first time, and I was blown away by her presence. Her in-ring stuff looked good. She's obviously a pretty girl. She's got charisma. She was doing good character work out there. I mean, this girl is ready for prime time.
Yeah.
I don't understand why she's not on someone's television show right now.
Yeah. She was, she had a whole, I don't know, look to her, but she was good. I was super impressed.
Yeah, I likened her to like what they thought Paige was going to be. Kind of an alternative looking girl that's still pretty, but she doesn't quite look like the other girls.
Yeah.
She had a real charisma about her.
Yeah.
My favorite spot of this match, it was fucking stupid, but I couldn't stop laughing at it, was Shotzi just kicking his ass. He's outside on the floor. She climbs to the top rope, prepared to dive. And Matt Nix grabs the microphone and starts singing. What's the name of that song from Third Eye Blind? Just step back from that ledge, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, because he tells her, like, she's not a good karaoke singer. He's a better karaoke singer than her or whatever. And she was so offended, like, how dare you?
Yeah, they started out like a gentleman's wrestling match. And then he tells her that she sucks at karaoke. He's like, I'm the queen of karaoke. And that really opens it up to full-on fisticuffs.
Yeah. And he did sing that. That was funny.
But Shotzi Blackheart wins. Matt Nix did well. She was the standout of the entire show. That was a fun show. A fun match, excuse me.
Yeah, like, she seemed like she, like, I guess everybody practices, but that woman seemed like she must practice all the time, or what? I mean, she was great. She was great.
I see her name pop up a lot of places. I think she does get a lot of bookings. So next up, I believe, was a 6-person interspecies competition.
Oh, yes.
Between the Ugly Ducklings and their partner, Marcus Crane, wrestled the team of IFHY, Sean Kemp, yes, that is his real name, Sean Kemp, Jonathan Wolf, and their partner, Alley Cat. What were your thoughts heading into this one?
I was so confused. I'll be honest. Like, I didn't totally realize the animal thing, like, at first. Which I don't know what. And then it was like, and maybe just because I didn't know all their characters, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what it was. But I was a little bit confused. And then when they started doing, like, the cat treat, or, no, not the cat treats. Yeah, they had cat treats, but then, like, the laser light with Alley Cat. I mean,
yes.
It's just some funny things, like, to me, but I didn't quite, like, understand what was going on at first with that animal thing, but I guess just because that's probably on me. I don't think that had anything to do with, I think a lot of people there just knew their characters. Because there were a lot of people there that I think go to this all the time that were, like, very aware of what's going on.
Yeah, Alley Cat, as the name would imply, she's a cat. One thick kitten is the tagline. And Sean Kemp is like a dog. His Twitter is at Year of the Mutt.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a spot later on in the show where actually in that match where one of the Hills threw a frisbee to the back, and because he's a dog, he couldn't help but chase it.
Yeah.
And he disappeared and abandoned his partners for a period of time.
Yeah.
And like Kelly said early on, one of the Hills pulled out a laser pointer so that the cat would chase it.
Yeah, and that was funny to me because I remember.
And then Jonathan Wolf got a hold of the laser pointer and pointed it at the duckling's forehead.
Yeah.
And then she went hoss on him.
Yeah.
This match was a lot of fun. The IFHY kids, I mean, they're both real young. I think Wolf is 19. Kemp is about the same. And Wolf was the opener of a show I went to in 2016, which would have made him 16 years old.
Oh, wow. No, they were like, once I figured out what was going on, I was very, like, that's the one where they did that 6-man flip thing.
Yes.
I guess. Okay.
Yeah, those of you who follow Maxwell RBR on Twitter and have seen that GIF of, like, the 8-person suplex spot, I think the title of the GIF is Everyone is Dead Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I thought that was going to happen. They had all 6 people in the suplex position. Only this time it worked out. They did it perfectly. Nobody got, seriously hurt, thank God. This was a lot of fun. Alley Cat is not long for this area. She'll be moving northeast before long. So I'm really glad we got to see her one last time before she disappears for a while.
Yeah. And the way that ring was, I was super nervous because I felt like they did a lot of things on the edge of it, and those boards were sticking out, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I felt like someone was going to get hurt, but no one did, I don't think, but that was kind of creepy to me.
So IFHY gets the win. Sean Kemp sticks around because...
Oh my gosh, this was crazy to me.
He is in the next match, too. And Sean, he's not the tallest guy. He's a little overweight. He looks blown up. He's begging for water out there.
Yeah.
And it turns out he's in the next match, which is a 4-way match for the Golden Mask and the Letornio Copa Idolo. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't speak Lucha.
Yeah.
Stephen Graham, if you're listening, help me out here. It's a 4-way elimination with Apollo Star, Ace Perry, and Razorhawk also involved. Razorhawk was a crowd favorite, but he went out pretty early. This was the match where Kelly may or may not have almost perished. Well,
You know how you like think what you're gonna? I'll say this because I don't care. You know, you're like something's gonna happen. This is how I'm gonna react. Was not how I reacted. So people were coming my way, and I kind of like Steve was like, "Let's move out of the way." I felt like I was just like watching them come towards me, which I wouldn't have been hurt. I don't think there were people in front of me. So
in her defense, it happened pretty quickly.
yeah.
And like I said, there was maybe 8 feet to work with of actual floor space. Ace Perry hits the ropes, goes to the far side, hits a dive. However, very quickly, gets right back in the ring, hits the ropes, and dives through on our side with a tope. Yeah. And I just see this beautiful man flying in my general direction. I instinctively sidestep, and I realize Kelly's not with me. So I reach out and grab her, pull her away. She would not have been hit by Ace, but she may have been crushed by the sheer girth of humanity that was in front of us, knocking her into that bay door.
Yes.
It would have been ugly. But
Yes.
nobody got hurt. Everybody was okay.
There was a lot of diving out of that ring, period, in a lot of the matches on that one side, and I don't think anybody ever actually got hurt, so.
Yeah, Sean Kemp won the match, won the Golden Mask. They had a great post-match scene. His producer, Jay Rose, the guy who works on a lot of his videography stuff, came into the ring. His girlfriend came into the ring. The small child who was present came into the ring. I don't know if he was with them or if he just saw an opportunity to get into a wrestling ring
Well,
and
I
took
think
it.
he won. That boy was banging on that mat anytime he could, so I don't know if he just was excited or they asked him to come up or what.
Sean Kemp ends up going like 40 minutes total between the two matches. Just really good performance by him. It was
Yes.
good to see him get his moment in the sun.
I was kind of shocked.
He's underrated. Like, you see somebody that looks like him and you don't expect much, and he really overperformed.
I was a little surprised on that back-to-back thing, though. I thought, was there a different way? I mean, just as, like, not, but just thinking, like, is there a different way that should have happened or you should do that? Because, I mean, that was a lot. Like, that was a long time.
All right, now we go into our main event. Nick Iggy, the Luchaversal champion, defending in a 4-way against Mance Warner, Calvin Tankman, and a mystery fourth opponent who ended up being Levi Everett, who works an Amish gimmick.
Which they loved.
He is the hometown hero for Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Those people have taken to Levi Everett like no one's business. Kind of a fun shout out to us during the entrances. Champion Nick Iggy is standing on the apron, and I get into the shows, I get into the music. Calvin Tankman comes out to Tupac's Hail Mary. I'm just bopping along to it, minding my business. And I look over and I realize that Iggy and Businessman are looking right at us. And Nick is yelling for me to shut up and to stop singing along. And I'm just doing my thing. And this fucker shouts out, "This song isn't even on Songs with Friends." I'm like, holy shit. So Nick, if you're listening, man, thanks for the shout out. That was awesome. Really made our night there at Bizarro Lucha.
Yes,
having the
yes.
champ himself tell me to shut up because we're not doing a good enough job picking songs on the podcast.
Yeah, he's telling Steve, if you want to talk about if you want this song, pick it for your show, baby.
Yes.
Yes.
This 4-way was wild. If you've never seen Mance Warner live, his entrance alone is worth booking him.
Yes.
It's Simple Man, the Shinedown version, not the Skinnerd version. But like everybody picks up on it right away and starts taking him to the ring. He's got a real everyman presence about him. Like, this man is here to drink beer and kick ass. Like, he literally had 2 beers, I think, before he started wrestling.
Yeah. That was like, I mean, and it's probably more because I love that song, but it's very like chill bump kind of thing to me because I was like, everybody was singing it. So I think he has something like, to me, that, I don't know, kind of made me want to root for him just because of that. Because it was like, oh, everybody was singing his song. I thought his entrance was good and his presence.
Yeah, Old Mans was retweeted the songs account a couple times, so yeah, he's over with me. I will cheer for that dude every time.
Yes.
A fun 4-way match. It was 1 fall, no elimination. Calvin Tankman is somebody who is really doing just amazing in this region, and I never hear his name outside of Indiana. I wonder why that is. I don't know if he's not traveling or what the deal is. What was your take on Tankman?
I thought, like, I don't feel like he was in there that much. I don't mean that to be, but like he came over on our side and fell, and he was he was sitting down there for a while, and but he was like a big guy, you know what I mean? So he looked like, to me, he looked scary, like he could kick someone's ass or whatever. But I didn't feel like I saw him in the actual ring as much as the other people. But I mean, his music was cool when he came out, and he looked tough, I guess, you know?
Yeah, he's a big, agile guy. He did a spinning dive over the top at one point. I'm not sure you could even see that over the tall people who position themselves in front of us.
Yeah, that was the problem, too, is that there were people in front of me, so I know I probably missed several things that, you know, I could have moved, but I didn't. And what was the last guy? Yeah, I didn't get... They were all very excited about him when he came out, and I didn't really...
Levi Everett, yeah. The standout spot of the match was Mansoor and Levi had a chair duel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And then Kelly saw her first unprotected chair shots.
I mean, I'm going to say, I saw lots of chest slapping and chair stuff, and Nick's chest was red. It looked like there was blood, and I was like, that shit has to hurt. And the chair thing, yes, that took me I gasped for sure. It was like, oh.
Now those are known as knife edge chops, the chest slapping.
Ooh.
And it was, like I said, the first time you said chest slapping at the show, I kind of giggled. But no, it's refreshing because that's exactly what it is. They call it a chop, but you're just slapping the shit out of somebody's nipple region.
Yes,
Yeah, and Nick's chest looked, pretty rough taking all these chops. But he ends up with a sneaky pin, a surprise roll up with some distractions, and he is celebrating like he just won the damn Powerball.
Yes.
He's standing on the table just obnoxious as can be.
Yeah.
I'm the champion. I'm still the champion. I'll beat all of you bastards.
Yeah.
He rides out on businessman's shoulders.
Yes.
In the chicken fight position.
Yes. Yes.
Stops and finds a fan right there at the entrance ramp taking pictures and poses for some great pictures of the belt. And then we faded to black. Everyone was invited to an after party at the Sinking Ship Bar, which we did not attend because it was already 10 o'clock and we had to head back to the greater Louisville area, about a 2-hour drive. Kelly, overall thought, did you have a good time at your first wrestling show?
I had a great time. I actually think now, though, I don't know, I felt like it was, maybe not, but I feel like the bar will be high now when I go to something else. And I felt like everybody there was, cool, and, I didn't feel anybody was, sometimes you go to things and people are just, assholes, or, you know what I mean? But I felt like the whole thing was, I had a good experience. It was good. I was surprised. There was a couple things I didn't like. The guy spitting, I was kind of I could go without that in the ring. I mean, they're just little, but I thought it was great. I had a really good time.
Would you recommend a bar wrestling experience to somebody who's not necessarily a wrestling fan?
Yes, because that's me. Sorry. Yes, no, for sure. And I mean, I wasn't even drinking, but I had a good time. But I do think that if you're... At some point, I felt there was a mentality of we want to see someone die. People were just getting rowdier and rowdier. But I think it's that alcohol when it kicks. I mean, no one was really going to die, but it was I'm over there kind of going, ooh, ah, wow. And people are hell yeah, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's the alcohol or just that I don't know a lot about wrestling, but it was for sure fun.
Yeah, I think that the only bar shows I've been to are this and Southern Underground Pro, based out of Nashville, which, guys, I give both of these companies the highest of recommendations.
Yeah.
They really draw more of a punk rock style crowd.
Yeah.
A lot of weird haircuts, leather jackets. And
it was a hipster. I mean, it was, I don't want to say, but it did some of the groups there to me kind of seemed like it was a trendy, a hipster type of thing.
Yes.
But if you're bringing in new, to me, I don't know if you would get mad about that because it's anybody that's willing to come in and pay and partake in it's hey, they're they're participating in this. It's awesome.
Hipster dollars spend just as well as hardcore fan dollars.
There was a lot of that, and there was just, but there were a lot of people to me. I think that it seemed so much better because they go there was rolls of toilet paper being thrown up there. And those, I think that there was just this group of, I don't know how many, 10 people in front of us that kind of started these chants and were doing things. And I don't know if they had not been there, if the experience in the room wouldn't have been as fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
I felt like I don't know. It's if I was a promoter of some kind of let me plant these type of people at every show because I think they made it like they changed the energy in the room, I guess you could say. So
Yeah, if you're interested in Bizarro Lucha, you can look up their Twitter. I have dropped my phone here. At Bizarro Lucha. I believe it's 1 Z and 2 R's, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll look it up.
Their next show is
Yes.
on May 19th in Indianapolis, Indiana, featuring famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan, if that's what you're into, among others. Yeah, that wraps it up for episode 2 of Making Towns with Friends. You can follow my Twitter at Songs with Steve. I almost forgot my Twitter handle for a minute. Follow our podcast Twitter at PTBN_songs. By all means, check us out. Kelly, how would you describe our podcast to people who have never heard it?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot. I guess I just tell people we do a music podcast. We take song lyrics and we talk about them, and Steve ruins them, and I try to keep us in a good place when we're talking about them.
Yes, every other week we sit down and we discuss lyrics of 2 songs. We each pick one. We don't let each other know ahead of time till the picks are read on there. We go through the lyrics. We figure out backstories. We sometimes just go on weird little personal tangents. Me more than Kelly. And we talk about the stories behind the songs, or just flat out just make some shit up for the sake of strawberry wine and me and 17. For Kelly, I'm Steve. Join me next time, episode 3. I will have my good close personal friend, Dr. Shahid Abdul Hadi on. We will be talking 2002 WWF, so stay tuned.